All right, we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast, bringing you our second segment. But before we do that, I would like to ask you again to please like and follow the show. Please donate as well. We get a number of questions from viewers, so to ensure that your question does get read on the air, please use that link, gsmcpodcast.net. Really does help me, really does help the show, really does help everyone, helps all the great content creators on this channel. So thank you so much for that in advance, and let's keep it going with our show today. So the second segment we'll be talking about is Gerrit Cole, the New York Yankees, and what's going on with him and his arm. So obviously we had a segment about this yesterday that, it happened on Monday, but I was unable to stream on Monday, unfortunately. So what we know is that Gerrit Cole, of course, had an MRI after he reported some soreness in his arm. Basically, the main thing of it is that he was having trouble bouncing back in between spring training starts. In his own words, he said that he was feeling like he pitched 100. It felt like what would happen if he had a 100-pitch game after a spring training start, which is not good considering a spring training start's usually supposed to be 1 to 4 innings. Not many pitches, not much stress in the arm. So that was cause for concern, of course, with the Yankees, especially with a high-profile player like Gerrit Cole, who is one of the best pitchers in baseball, a guy you look for as an ace, a guy who is, a top-of-the-rotation guy. So they obviously played it safe, got an MRI. Yankees fans were kind of expecting the worst. I think all baseball fans were. And we have an update today about it, so let's talk about it. So according to John Heyman in the New York Post and a lot of other people who have kind of piggybacked that report and agreed on it, Gerrit Cole will be out at least, I use that word very clearly, at least 1 to 2 months, and is flying to see a famous LA surgeon who works with these specific kind of elbow injuries. So the good thing is the Yankees do not believe the UCL is torn. Obviously that is amazing because the worst case scenario here is always Tommy John. I mean, we saw that with Lucas Giolito. That happened. So avoiding Tommy John at all costs is great. Again, they said they don't believe it's torn, so it could still be. But I would think if it's torn, they would have seen that pretty easily. So I don't think it is. I don't think he's getting Tommy John, which, of course, is the best case scenario. Now, of course, I'm saying at least 1 to 2 months. So what we know is Cole will be out, most likely, until the end of May, if we are just going off that report. At least, again, I'm saying at least because it's not saying he will be. They're saying that's what they believe. And, it could still be worse. We don't know what the LA surgeon's going to say. We don't know what other reports are going to say. So as of right now, it seems like Cole will be out at least until May and could be out the entire season. I guess it's possible. But let's go off the thinking that he's maybe out till June or July, which I think is likely. In hindsight, that is great news for the Yankees because you thought it was going to be a lot more time. I mean, if you're a Yankees fan, you're kind of, pooping in your pants right now to say, when you heard that report about him getting an MRI, you think the worst case scenario as a Yankees fan. You have to, because Gerrit Cole, like I said last show, he's known for his durability. He's a guy that is not going to get hurt a lot. You can count him every day to go to the mound, every 5th day and throw 7 great innings. He is an ace. He is what you look in the dictionary when you look at the word ace of a pitcher. In baseball, when you look up ace and then you see the word base, ways can be used, whatever, baseball, you see Gerrit Cole. That's who you see. A lot of people don't like the Yankees, but Gerrit Cole is always someone you have to respect because he is such a workhorse. He is such an ace. He's a guy who has lived up to his contract and done even more with the Yankees, and that's hard to do. It's hard to live up to your contract with the Yankees. I mean, we've seen so many players over the years not live up to their contracts. I mean, the recent examples, of course, Carlos Rodon, Aaron Hicks, Jacoby Ellsbury, throwing it back a little bit. I mean, even more players in the past as well. But it is hard to live up to the expectations with the Yankees because they are the Yankees. And Cole has done that perfectly. I mean, the Yankees, they're the most historic team in sports. 27 championships. When you go there, you know what you're expecting. And as a person who grew up in this city, in New York City, I understand the pressure it means to play for the Yankees. I understand what it's. I'm very close to the Yankees fan base. I know a lot of Yankees fans. Believe me, I know the pressure that comes with it. And Cole is one of those few guys who has risen to that occasion and shown he's built for the lights of New York City, of being a Yankee. And losing him for a long time, especially this year, would be so horrible. I mean, like I said yesterday as well, The vibe's been so great with the Yankees team. Juan Soto has performed and is Juan Soto right now. This Yankees team has done really well in camp. They've shown that they're together. They've shown a lot of improvements. The Juan Soto addition has really, revitalized them, revitalized this team. And losing Cole in this season would be just awful because this could be your only year with the generational superstar that is Juan Soto. We've already heard teams like the Mets, the Cubs, other teams as well that are gearing up to make a huge run at him. So I think losing him would just be an awful, awful scenario. But going back to Cole now, because I kind of went on a little bit of a tangent about the Yankees. The impact on the Yankees would just be astronomical. I mean, again, I've talked about it a lot on this channel about the Yankees rotation because the Yankees, what are you going to say? The Yankees are a hot topic in sports. They're always going to be. They always are, and they are right now. And the fact is, losing Cole would just be such a huge loss here. I mean, the rotation is good after him. I want to get that clear. It's not horrible. It's not like some other teams like the A's or something like that. Believe me, it's definitely not. But as I mentioned a lot, there are question marks here. Carlos Rodon, Marcus Stroman, Nestor Cortez, all question marks. And those are guys you rely on after Cole. If Cole gets hurt and is out for what we believe is going to be, I'll say 2 to 4 months. That's what I believe is going to end up happening. Again, he could be out for the entire season, but I don't. You don't. If you're a Yankees fan, you don't want to think about that, so we're not going to because that's 100% worst case scenario. You then have probably Carlos Rodon starting on opening day, and then you have Rodon. You probably have Stroman / Cortez / Stroman 2-3. Then you have other guys like Will Warren might have to come up. You might even have to dip into Chase Hampton, a prospect like that. May have to use Clayton Beeter or Clark Schmidt as a full-time guy. Luke Weaver as well. And so dipping into your depth for the Yankees this early would not be that great because you're going to have other injuries as well, especially with where the rotation is. This update with Cole, again, it's not bad because you were expecting 100% worst-case scenario because of what you heard. I mean, Cole, when you hear MRI in anyone, it's horrible, but especially on an ace like Cole, a guy who's been a workhorse like Cole, it is very, very terrifying. So I think that was always cause for concern, and you always expected the worst. I mean, just looking back on another New York ace, Jacob deGrom. I talked about this yesterday as well, but people don't remember. Before deGrom had all these injuries, he was a very, very big workhorse. He was the guy that never got hurt. He easily won the 2018 and 2019 Cy Youngs, in part because he didn't get hurt. He threw those amazing years, those amazing innings, because he was always healthy. He took care of his body. He knew what he was doing. Had, in my opinion, 2 of the greatest seasons in baseball history, watching it up close as a Mets fan. So I think there's a lot of concern here that maybe Cole might affect him long term, which should obviously be just absolutely awful and horrible. So I think you have to look at that as well. The impact on the Yankees would just be so. I mean, I've talked about the pitching staff a lot, but even the whole team. Again, Soto. I think this whole season is a lot more serious than the others because you kind of have a 1-year window. You have Juan Soto for 1 year, and that's it. Is it likely that Soto gets re-signed to the Yankees in free agency? I would say yes. I believe he's going to, but it's not 100%. It's definitely not. I would say it's barely even over. I would say it's probably barely 50%. There's so many other teams that want to crack at one of the greatest hitters of all time at this age that you have to look at this year as a 1-year window, as the 1 year of saying, okay, we have Juan Soto, we have him, we have Aaron Judge, we have Stanton, we have our young guys coming up like Volpe and Wells who are showing themselves to be real guys. We have to look at this as our year. You haven't even been to a World Series yet with Aaron Judge, which is a travesty. Who has been to a World Series? Juan Soto. Who has been to the NLCS twice? Juan Soto. This is a guy that wins. He knows how to win. He knows what it takes to win. And adding him added so many more positives than just getting one of the best hitters in baseball. Of course, believe me, that is not a negative as well. That definitely helps you. But adding him had so many more positives to this team, and kind of wasting this year because Cole is hurt. I think would just be so disruptive to the Yankees organization, their franchise, and what their plans were for the future. Now, I think you have to look at this here with this Cole news, which we've expected again. Are they going to dip into getting another starting pitcher? Like the market of Snell, Montgomery, Cease, even a guy that's a little lower like Michael Lorenzen. Even I saw someone float out Zach Greinke, which would be not a good one because, frankly, Zach Greinke's not that good anymore. I mean, everyone loves Zach Greinke. He's one of the most likable guys in baseball, but he's not that good anymore. I'm sorry, he's like 40, so I wouldn't look into that too deep. But going back to Snell and Montgomery, the problem with them is what I've talked about so much in the show, and that's the money. The Yankees simply cannot afford to pay these guys huge contracts they want because of where they are on the luxury tax. Because they're paying so many guys contracts. Now, good contracts, it's not like they're to bums, but still, because of that, you can't afford a Montgomery, a Snell. So I would say those guys are unlikely. Now, again, could you dip back into Dylan Cease? You absolutely could. And you have a long-term effect of that as well. You pair him with Cole for the upcoming years, assuming Cole isn't, getting Tommy John or something like that. You pair him with your other pitching prospects like Chase Hampton, who's probably going to be a very good pitcher very soon in the MLB for the Yankees. Even Will Warren, Clayton Beeter, if those guys can prove themselves. Clark Schmidt as well. So you have a lot of long-term effects here if you were to get Dylan Cease. But they simply aren't going to give up Spencer Jones. And I think that's what the main point is here. Would they give up Chase Hampton for him? I don't know. They wouldn't give up Chase Hampton for Juan Soto. So I'm not sure if they have the ability to trade for Cease or the want to trade for Cease because of where they are with their prospects, because they developed these guys, they want to see them through with their careers. So I do think it's unlikely that Cease gets traded to the Yankees. I think it's unlikely for Montgomery or Snell to be signed there, even Lorenzen as well because of the money. So I don't think there is really a huge guy you can get to replace Cole. And even if you get these guys, they're not going to replace Cole. They're not going to replace what he brings, considering he is the best pitcher in baseball. They're really good, but they're not going to replace how much he does bring. So the Yankees just have to hope the team can stay afloat with Cole until he gets better. I mean, they're in a tough division with the Orioles, with the Blue Jays, with the Rays. Even the Red Sox aren't that bad. So, that's what you have to hope if you're a Yankees fan. And, just really hoping for the best and hoping that this isn't a long-term thing. He'll be back later in the summer and that everything will kind of turn out okay. So that is my second segment here for the show. We'll be taking a break, but moving on to our third segment, we will be talking about free agent updates, who's still in the market, where they could sign, why they could sign there, some fits, and just all about that, all about the guys left in the market. So we'll take a break, but then we'll talk about that. So thanks.